My name's Lexie. I'll be facilitating these wonderful people here on the stage today. So before we begin, I'm going to just let you know who we've got in front of us here. So I'm going to start over here. We've got the amazing Jared Wall, otherwise known as Boox Kid. So Jared is a First Nation Noongar beat creator delivering unique, dreamy electro-pop. So When I Was a Young Boy premiered on RTR FM, released to streaming and radio in 2021, and it's receiving pretty heavy rotation on RTR, Triple J, FBI Radio, 4ZZZ, yeah, and on Spotify. So, and around Australia and New Zealand too. So welcome to Jared. Give it up.
Thanks.
Yes.
Howdy.
In the middle here, we've got the lovely Siobhan Cotchin. So honest, raw and real. Siobhan has proven herself to be a talented songwriter, the alt rock with a dose of twang, multi-award winning musician, has a writing style that echoes the effortless musing of Phoebe Bridgers, and a live performance as gusty as Joan Jett. Oh, I love that. Her luminous melodies hover over storytelling lyrics as she effortlessly pulls the listener into a world of introspective self-discovery. Yes, can you already tell? She wrote this, so you can already tell she's pretty good with words.
I didn't, I promise.
Didn't you? You did?
I can't remember.
Oh, well, it's good. Whoever wrote it,
because that's
amazing.
actually embarrassing.
Obviously, I'm good with words this morning. Can you hear this? She's shared stages with Leon Bridges, Bob Evans, Spacey Jane, Stella Donnelly, the Whitlams, Thelma Plum, the Teskey Brothers, and so many more. Please give it up to this amazing Siobhan Cotchin. And last but not least, we have Riley Pearce, who is an introspective artist and singer-songwriter. Riley often writes about his difficulty coping with change, his love-hate relationship with nostalgia. With families spread across the globe and his own stretches of living in a number of different cities, his lyrics reflect that all-too-human need for connection. His honest songwriting and relatable storytelling has resonated both in Australia and overseas with over 2.3 million monthly streams. Hello, Riley Pearce. Welcome.
Hey.
Okay, so we've got about an hour to have a chat with everyone. So I've got some questions that we're going to put to them today, but please think of some questions that you want to ask any of them, and I'm sure we'll be getting some really awesome info out of them today. So let's start it off. Let's go back to the beginning. And I'm going to put this to all of you, so jump in whenever. But where did your love of music first come from? Think back. You're looking very cheeky there. Jared, I think you need to start.
I guess, yeah, for me it was kind of growing up. I was always growing up around it. So, yeah, my family, my brother used to be in like an a cappella R&B group back in the 90s over in Brisbane. So I spent like 10 years in Brisbane growing up. And Jacob, wherever he's gone, there was this R&B a cappella group called Aim for More, and it was literally Aim for More. So it was, my brother was heavily involved in that, and now he hates performing and singing and stuff. So
He got it all out.
Yeah, I kind of like saw him sing, and then my dad, got me my first acoustic, and I just taught myself to play, and then kind of just evolved from there. I remember singing at school and being in a little a cappella group myself in primary school, and then it just evolved from there. Did stuff in high school, and then it wasn't until like after high school that I kind of started to take things a bit more seriously and went through various incarnations of where I am now, pretty much.
Nice. So did you get the moves from your brother as well? Did he do the kind of like stretching, pull arms?
If you can think like, if anyone remembers like, going back to R&B days, like the Platters or like Boys to Men, or there was probably some nice choreographed moves that he did. Yeah, he'd never admit that he did that, but I might incorporate some of those moves here and there when I'm on stage, but nothing to that extent.
Look, it's filtered down at least. We've got some of it running in the family. It's good to hear. All right, what about you, Siobhan? Where did your music love first stem from?
Well, I also grew up, my house is just full of music all the time. My parents are avid music lovers. My dad introduced me to country music when I was very little, so that's just been ingrained in me from a very young age. I just grew up listening to a lot of like Slim Dusty, all those like country classics, Dolly, Johnny Cash, things like that. And then Yeah, I guess my music taste mainly comes from my dad, which is kind of embarrassing, but he's got taste. The man has taste. So, I grew up listening to a lot of country and then a lot of like classic rock. You know, your Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, all the dad rock bands. And then when I was 9, I vividly remember getting a Taylor Swift CD for my birthday or Christmas or something, and just listening to it like on repeat and just realizing like, oh, that's what I want to do. That's what I have to do. Like I just sort of found myself in her music, and I was writing songs ever since. So yeah, I think Taylor Swift kind of cemented the fact that, you know, I should be a songwriter. So I did it, and here we are talking about songwriting.
That's
Crazy.
so great. Taylor and Dad, it's like the power duo of inspiration.
My music taste is very chaotic thanks to my parents and myself. I did it to myself, so yeah.
Got to take some responsibility, right?
Yeah, that's all right. I'm the problem.
And Riley, where's your music love come from?
There was also music in the house growing up. Dad played in like a Oz rock cover band with other dads from my primary school, and they yeah.
I wish we had a projector with photos right now to see all of these images.
No, not at all. He had quite a big beer gut and still does, so he had to hold his guitar out there. Don't tell him I said that.
This is being recorded.
Basically there, and I used to love just like recording songs off the radio onto a little tape cassette that we just had like a little. It wasn't portable in the extent that portable things are now, but like I'd unplug it all and move it to my room and set it up and just have all these mixtapes of things, and that I recorded 3/4 of a song that I started liking, and then was like record, and then I'd go back and listen to it and write out all the lyrics on pieces of paper and get so many of them wrong. But you couldn't Google them back then to figure out if you were right or not. But I loved doing that, and then I think one birthday or Christmas I got this like little machine that meant I could like I could play a tape and it could like project a little radio station to like the next room. That was probably the extent of its range. But so my sister would just be my only listener to my radio station, and I could there were like a few little sound effects things that you could put in there too. But I loved that, and I think that's where my love of music started.
That's incredible. Wow. This really segues into another question that I've been dying to ask all of you, actually, so I'm going to skip to it. I want you to think back to the very first song you can remember writing and tell us about it and give us a little review of it.
It wasn't good. I remember I used to like, we used to go up to Jurien Bay a bunch for like family holidays, and we'd like, they had these Sunday markets there, and I don't know if anyone's been up there, but there's this old guy, I'm not even sure if he's still around or alive. He was very old at the time, and he's probably even older now. But his name was Buzzer. I don't know if anyone... No, that name's not ringing a bell. He mustn't be around anymore. But he sang a lot of Slim Dusty songs, and I think that was his... Yeah, he was just a one-person Slim Dusty cover. Well, Slim Dusty's only one person. But you don't need multiple people. Anyway, and I would go and play all my Matchbox 20 Jack Johnson kind of covers, and it probably annoyed the hell out of him. But I don't even know what the question was, but I've gone on a tangent. And I started writing a song that I could play at the market, and it was so bad. I remember the song was about just writing songs, like I was some expert at it already. And I think the first line was like, "Have you ever tried writing a song?" Was the first, and it was just so literal that it was the worst thing ever.
It sounds a little like a love-hate relationship with nostalgia to me.
Maybe that's what it was. I stay on brand.
Wow, so a song about writing a song. Yeah, that's very deep for a young whippersnapper at the markets. But, you know, it's got you somewhere. Do we have any memories popping up for either of you two?
Yeah. Well, going on the whole Taylor Swift thing, basically, I hate this.
That's why I asked the question.
I basically, I just ripped off a Taylor Swift song. I remember sitting in my room like with my little guitar, and I was just like, oh, I'm going to write a song about love. But being 9 years old, I've never even met a boy. So I was just like writing about all these fake relationships, and I was just copying all the Taylor Swift lyrics and like changing a few words. Kind of like what Kev said about Paul Kelly, just like straight up plagiarism. So that's, I can't exactly remember the song, but it was something like, I'm so in love with you. Something dumb
If any
like
of
that.
you remember any of the songs at any stage, feel free to just bust them out. Like, we invite it. Okay, what about?
Oh, mine was terrible. It was like, I remember it was in high school, and as my old mate who I went and formed a band with later on, and we had this gig. It was like one of our first gigs for like the school fair, basically, and it was some terrible song just about relationships or something. And we were like 14, 15 or something. It was like, what relationships did we really have? But yeah, I just remember it being really bad. I don't remember much of the structure of it. Can't even remember the melody or anything, but it was like just a time when it was somewhat innocent, I guess, and we thought, yeah, this is really cool. And then I'm sure we ripped it off as well. Like, yeah. But I remember like one memory from that sticks out is like, I'm sure we must have emulated Ben Harper. We were huge Ben Harper fans back then. And then this stupid moment at this school fair, I remember he did a cover of Marvin Gaye's Sexual Healing, and it was like such a cool cover. And then I thought, I'll sing that as fair as well. And then cringeworthy, like I dedicated that song to this girl that I was seeing at the time. I was like 15, and I look back and I'm like, oh man, that was bad. It's like Sexual Healing at a school fair? That's bad.
It's a hindsight thing, though, isn't it? At the time, full commitment.
Yeah, I was committed, but it was bad.
It's always better when you don't know that you're alienating everyone in the audience. You know, it's always better not to have that intel right in that moment, unlike right now. So let's get kind of out of the past and let's bring it to where you are now. So I want to know what your process is. So how do you write a song? It's the question on everybody's lips today. I just put it to all of you.
Mine fluctuates a bit, like, because I do a lot of production and things on Ableton and things, so I love that world and kind of making the composition first. And a lot of the time I might make 3/4 of a composition of a song, and then the melody might come after that. So it might have somewhat of a structure first and how it's laid out. But then other times, literally, I might have a little voice memo where I'll have a hook, and it'll be some indistinguishable thing. But at the time, I've liked it, and there might be some words in that hook that I've just, for whatever reason, sung, and then they might evoke some emotion, I guess. So sometimes, my songs might evolve from what is just an original little hook, and then I build upon it from there. So it's one way or the other. I either write the composition because I'll be heavily involved in some beat I'm creating, and then I'll follow a melody with that, or I'll come up with a hook. But generally, lyrics are usually always the last thing I ever do. I don't necessarily consider myself all that good a writer lyrically, so like always the last thing to come for me.
Yeah, right. That's a theme that is happening today. But I wonder, is that different for either of you? Does any of you have lyrics first?
I always start with my lyrics because I just think, for me, that's the most important part and my favourite part. When I'm listening to music, I'm like, if the lyrics aren't good, I can't do it. So yeah, I always write my lyrics first, and then, or sometimes I'll get like a bit of a melody with a few lyrics, and then I'll just sort of go from there. But yeah, I'm really surprised. Like, I feel like not a lot of people write like that. Just different.
It seems like a mixed bag, I guess.
So
Some
different and
people are
unusual.
Yeah.
But yeah, lyrics for me are the best part.
Yeah. So do you write it? Do you write your lyrics as kind of a poem first, and like, do you find a rhythm in that? Does that come kind of next, or do you just kind of write a bunch of words down and then try and patch it into some to a rhythm and music and lyrics and what? I'm just saying words now. Just saying musical words. Songs.
Yeah, I think it's basically like a poem. Yeah, and then I just sort of like... Because I feel like the lyrics, for me, kind of prompt like what the music is going to sound like, if that makes sense. Or if it's like a bit of a melancholic, sad song, I'll find like a descending melody or like a melody that fits that theme or something, or like major chords, minor chords, whatever, you know? So I feel like it's a really good indication of like where the song should go musically. Yeah.
Nice. Good sir.
Yeah, you made songwriting sound so beautiful then. Just the I feel like I'm always chaotically scrambling between voice memos and random bits of lyrics I've written down, and I think sometimes I'm just playing along at a guitar and I'll be like, all right, this sounds good, and then I'll just like sing absolute nonsense over the top to try and find a melody that fits, and something else stand out, and then I'll be like, yeah, cool, let's go with this. And I might just have this like concept of something that I want to write a song about that's just rattling in my head, sometimes I'll have like a list of things that I've been itching to write a song about, but just haven't, I don't know, found the time, found the words, found the right sound, and yeah, I just kind of build things from there. But I don't really have like, I'd love to say that there's like a way that really works for me that is like a good template, but sometimes it's just, yeah, the time and the place and the moment, and things just pour out.
I mean, you did say to us last night at the airport, waiting around, that you do have a huge folder in your phone called Nuggy Nugs.
Yes.
And I really want to hear some of those Nuggy Nugs.
Not a chance.
I wonder how many musicians' Nuggy Nugs just don't make it out, and how many are just hiding away.
Yeah, a lot.
Just a sea of nugs.
For those of you who weren't at the airport, I was saying how I categorize my voice memos, because otherwise they end up in like voice memo 3000 or whatever, and so I put them in folders for ones that like I think have potential, other ones that are just like lost ideas, or other ones that turned into finished songs, and the one that's like, some of them are called Nuggy Nugs, which is now embarrassing.
The world needs to know about Nuggy Nugs.
Everyone's just lost respect for me now.
I've got more respect for you now. So, you know, you've all got different processes that you go through to write the songs, but where do you get your inspiration from for your songs?
I guess I'll go.
Do it.
Oh gosh. Well, personal things. I feel like songwriting is basically free therapy for me. I'm just like, what am I feeling?
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, literally, I'm just like, oh gosh, yep, in my feels today, let's get it out. And yeah, so sometimes they're very personal, but also I like writing from like characters' perspectives. I like creating random stories in my head. Like I have a song called Tucson, and I've never been to Tucson, but I just decided I'm going to write a song about somebody living in Tucson and being miserable. But yeah, I find a lot of inspiration in just like creating stories, but I also like writing about characters that already exist. Like I love writing songs from like inspiration from like books, movies, TV shows, whatever. I like writing about people and their stories, and yeah, it doesn't always have to be my story, but it still feels personal because I pick characters that I resonate with.
So you're kind of channeling yourself through those different characters.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, and it kind of helps me deal with stuff like indirectly, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if this resonates with you, but I find the best art always comes out when you're feeling the shittest. No?
Yeah, I mean, I can
Okay,
only...
at least one person. Great.
I can only write, like, I can't write when I'm in the moment feeling like shit. Like, I have to give it a bit of time to process, and then once I've sort of come out of it, I'm like, I've got a clearer head, like, I can kind of just, like, write it out. But, yeah, I think the best songs sort of come from the shittiest parts of existing.
Or the big feels, I guess.
If I'm tired I reckon my self-critic goes away a bit, I reckon. I don't know, like, and sometimes I think that filter can help with the lyrics sometimes, or just like you can keep the ball rolling, or you can stop being the speed bumps, I think, sometimes.
Right. Good tip. Just exhaust yourself. Just work out really hard, write some essays, and you'll be great. You'll be ready to go.
I think mine's I usually like write in a narrative, I think. Yeah, kind of think of stories, and sometimes I'll even visualize what like a film clip might look like, and then I delve into what the story will be. So I might have an imagery in my mind as to what the song will be about, or the actual concept of it, and then it kind of evolves from there. Like, I don't have too many songs where it's super personal, apart from maybe one song that's really personal. And even that is more of a story of my own story and then other people's perspective put in it. Maybe it's saying something about myself that I can't delve into my own trauma or something, who knows. But I don't know, I think it's just, yeah, I like writing from different perspectives and stuff. And yeah, the whole storytelling side of things, I find it a bit easier, I think, yeah. For
And it
whatever
sounds like it's
reason.
very imagery based for you. So
Yeah.
you're kind of imagining it as a film first, or a
Yeah, I
video
kind of
clip.
do. It just helps me tell the story better, I think. And then it just kind of evolves from there, really.
Yeah, wow. Such different perspectives and different inspirations. It's awesome. So what do you... this is a good question. I really want to know the answer to this. What do you wish you had known when you first started out? So what's something that you wish you could go back to your younger self, starting out as a musician, and give yourself a hot nuggy nug of advice?
A nuggy dog. Probably for me, I reckon it'd be... Well, it sounds very cliche, but it's probably seizing like the opportunities that do get provided to you. I know, like, for myself, had good opportunities in my old band that I had, and didn't really seize them, and kind of just idled a bit. And yeah, I think if you kind of have to be a little bit prolific in what you do in terms of songwriting things as well. And like Kevin was talking about before, if you want to keep going and have longevity, you kind of just have to keep going. And my view of what I want in music now has changed from when I was in like early 20s, where I had like dreams of fame and rock stardom and that kind of stuff. Now it's kind of evolved where I'm very much open to branching out into different realms and things. So writing for other people, producing for other people, delving into things like theatre and other sorts of stuff, because there's, engaging in as much creative stuff as I can. Still love the performing first and foremost, but I think it's just being open to other realms as well for me now.
Yeah, so not just having that kind of one view of what you want to achieve, but actually seeing all those other opportunities in those other areas where you can create.
Yeah, you can be creative in so many different spaces, not just in the songwriting space and in terms of writing for other people. And like some of those other areas, and this sounds terrible, but some of those other areas actually pay really well in terms of theatre and opera and those kind of things. And there's some just great art spaces where you can be creative. And
See,
then
I don't think that sounds terrible. I think there's a cultural thing happening here where people think it's bad for musicians to want to earn a living out of it. But could you imagine the world without music? I mean, you deserve to be paid for it, and you've got to look for those opportunities, right? So let's just get on board with that today, shall we? Yep. Pay the musicians. But yeah, there are a lot of different opportunities out there, though, and yeah, it's great that you've seen that now and you've branched out to those other things. Yeah. What kind of nuggy nugs have you got for your younger self?
Oh man, this could get dark. No, no. I think I'm going to say something that's going to be a bit cliche too, but like being authentic and writing music for you, and not worrying about, is this going to get played on Triple J? I feel like that will save a lot of, heartache a little bit. I feel like, don't be too worried about writing something that's going to sell or, fit a certain market. If you're writing something that feels good for you, then you should do it. But then if you want to write stuff that sells, and totally do it. But I think just being authentic and doing what you want to do is the most important thing, and not worrying about what everyone else is doing. I still struggle with comparing myself to my friends, to other artists, and I'm just like, why? How do they get that gig? Why? I feel like I should get that gig too, I will always do that. And I just don't do that.
Just don't do it.
It sucks. Like, I feel like music shouldn't be a competition. And I feel like, with awards and everything, it's just kind of like it just keeps that sort of thing, that competition alive. And it kind of sucks a little. So just run your own race. My mum always says, stay in your lane. It's actually from a Miley Cyrus song called Do My Thang. She goes, stay in your lane, bitch. So I always tell myself that. My mum doesn't say stay in your lane, bitch, but she goes, stay in your lane. Thank you, Miley, for that little nuggy nug of wisdom. But yeah, stay in your lane, be you, and don't worry about, not being commercial enough.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Miley and Mum, ultimate power duo.
Sorry, that was really weird. I know I went on a bit
Taylor
of a
and
tangent.
Dad, Miley and Mum.
It's chaotic.
It's great.
I think personally, from my own experiences, I think when I started out writing songs, I wrote a bunch of songs, and then I was so focused, I think, on all right, I have these songs recorded. Now I just want to promote them, find ways for things to happen, try and book all these gigs. And time went past, and I realised that I'd almost left songwriting behind a bit. And I think that was the worst thing I could have done, was because maybe a year or 18 months went past, and I realised that I hadn't written any more songs, I hadn't recorded any more, and my songwriting wasn't getting any better. And I think when it all comes down to it, and it's probably one of APRA's, AMCOS's main things, is that it all comes back to the song, and that's something that I really needed to know early, and to make sure that that wasn't getting left behind.
Yeah, nice. So
I was going to say as well, it's almost like when I think back in my old band, I was almost too democratic with my band. I was I really wanted them to come along for the ride. But they all, had their things going on and stuff, and kind of let things pass and stuff. And now I'm just kind of well, I'm doing things for me. And if the people that are with me want to come along for the ride, if they value it as well, that's awesome. And I think if you've got something that is authentic and that you really believe in, then those people that will support you will come along. And if they don't, well, that's cool. But it's kind of do things for you, I guess. Yeah, I think don't let it just sit there.
yeah, cool. So being way more empowered in what you're putting out there and owning it. Sweet. So let's get really, this is a good one for you, getting really deep. What are some fears that you have to face as a musician and a songwriter?
Yeah, I guess. Why are you looking at me?
Because we're getting emotional in this space. It's the leather jacket.
I wore this to be tough and not
sorry.
vulnerable,
I read the room wrong.
Fears. So many of them. I guess my biggest fear is failing and not living up to my potential, It's something that I think about all the time. I should probably see someone about that. Anyway, but I just, I feel like it's a scary prospect. I feel like music is a hard industry to be in, especially if you're afraid of failing, because I feel like progress isn't linear for everything. So I feel like there's a lot of up and downs, and you can feel like you're on the right track, and then you play a gig to only 5 people, and it's okay, so I'm back to the beginning. I feel like that's my biggest thing, is not succeeding in what I'm doing and just not living up to my potential.
Yeah, that's a big big fears to face, and big definition of things to unpack as well. And I'm sure anyone in this room putting out art into the community, or being vulnerable like that, can probably resonate with that feeling of not knowing how it's going to go or how people are going to receive that.
Yeah, I think the fear of the unknown is not helpful at all, especially when you're trying to create. And it's like, I get really bad writer's block when I'm in my head and I'm just like, what if this is actually shit? What I'm making, like, what if, like, all these things, like, what if this doesn't get the reception that I want it to, all the what ifs. It's like exhausting. It's exhausting living in my brain.
It's easy to be your own self-critic, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Any things to add to the world of fear that we're creating on this stage?
Yeah, I think you summed it up really well. Like the kind of, just like realizing that, or being scared of, like where your music can, or where your music journey can kind of start and stop, and you put it in way better words than I can, but that.
Sweet. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a big question, isn't it? Like, to talk about in front of a room. So yeah, thanks for sharing. You don't have to.
I was trying to think. I think you got to. I think it's important to be a bit open and with your music as well. Like, I know I always try and you can be protective of your own songs because they're like your little babies and stuff. But sometimes I always kind of seek feedback off others as well, which is a bit scary because sometimes you think, they're going to be like, that melody's a bit shit, or that, I think you could do that, and you're kind of in your own head internalizing it. Okay. But then you kind of got to do away with that ego, because this is probably ego behind that, I guess. So, and that's like the beauty of these kind of sessions and writing with other people, particularly, is like it actually opens your mind to think of different ideas and things that you thought, wow, I actually never thought of those perspectives and things. So there's like, there's some great learnings, I guess, that I think you can get to kind of leaving yourself a bit open to learn, I guess,
Yeah, and it's really helpful, I think, to see, people who are actively out there, doing gigs and performing, and when you look at someone on a stage, you can really put them on a pedestal and think, this person has no insecurities, this person's not afraid of anything, right? But everyone's got their process and has taken, whatever journey it's taken them to get there, and you're probably doing the same to someone else as well. So it's good perspective to have, I think, to see that, there's always stuff coming up for you putting art out there as well. So yeah, thanks so much for sharing those comments. So let's lighten things up a little bit then now. Let's bring us out of that. What is the best live music experience that you've ever had? And that could be either your own on stage or as an audience member, and what made it amazing?
That's tough. Best live music experience. I think one of the best ones that I've had, which was personally really super enriching, was so I was in. This was external to my Boox kids stuff, but I was in. I got to be in an opera called Kulbadi Warwaro, which means in Noongar language is the magpie and the crow. And originally, I auditioned for this opera. I saw the auditions and thought, give that a crack. That'd be kind of a cool another performance opportunity. And then I got the main part of Warwaro, which is the crow. And then so we basically it's an opera that's all in Noongar language. So it's all sung in Noongar language, and it's the dialogue's in Noongar language. Everything's in language, and it's an all Indigenous cast. And so, for me, doing the rehearsals, I got to pretty much learn my own culture again, got to learn my language again. And then doing, we did 5 shows at His Majesty's Theatre, which was, completely packed shows. And, that was super enriching. So, from what I thought was just going to be, another cool gig, it was something so much more. Because it was just I'm singing in language. This is culturally just something so special for me. And I think being able to like share that with an audience, you think of opera as like traditional Italian singing and all of that, and there is that element obviously, but the opera was like brave enough to bring on something that was completely unique, and then it showcased New language to such a wider audience. And then for me, it's allowed me to delve into other avenues and things, and I think back at that and it's kind of like, oh, that was really cool, and then something I'll kind of hold on to. And now I can, like, these days I'm like Gina Williams, who wrote the opera, the aria that I sing in that, I can't record it yet, but I'm allowed to sing it at my own shows. So I do my own interpretation of a song in language in my own shows. So that's kind of like something that's special, I guess. Yeah.
That sounds incredible. Yeah, wow, what a cool experience. Sweet. Awesome. Best experiences. Can you
I don't know how to
recall?
follow that up. That was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Man. In terms of one of my shows, it's the best feeling in the world when you see people singing your lyrics back to you. Like, that's happened at a few of my headline shows, and I'm just like, oh my God, people are actually listening to my music. Like, this is all that I want. Like, these are lyrics that I've written in my room, like, and now they're out in the world, and it's just, yeah, it's such a magical feeling because, you know, I've been that audience member, you know, going to like a big concert and singing every single word, and I just know how special that must be. Playing Laneway Fest this year was also huge. We were on first at like 11:30. The sun was like beating down. I thought I was going to pass out, but it was awesome. It was so worth it. We actually, like, I just couldn't believe like how many people showed up at that time. Like, I had so many friends and like people that I didn't even know were there, and they were requesting like one of my songs. They were like, play this song. I'm like, oh my God, you're like asking me to play one of my songs, not like play AC/DC or something stupid that I get at like a pub gig, you know. But that was so cool. And just being on these lineups with some of my idols like Phoebe Bridgers and Haim, and so surreal. I just remember Laneway was such a huge day, and when I finally got to watch Phoebe play, I was just like sobbing, because I was like, these are songs that I've been listening to for years and years, and to see them live, it's like they just have such a meaning for me. And I remember we played this festival, and Leon Bridges was the main act, and I literally cried the whole time. I was a little bit drunk, but I was so overcome with emotion, because I was like, I'm kind of doing the thing that I've always wanted to do. I'm playing with all these artists that I adore, and oh gosh, I got tears in my eyes right now. I'm fine. Just getting these opportunities to play with artists that I have either grown up listening to or have really helped me through a tough time. It's just so rewarding. So
Yeah, I could feel the like swelling when you were talking about it.
Yeah,
It sounds
oh
like
my
it was
God.
a huge, like, massive moment for you.
no, I'm good. I'm tough.
Nah, that
Got my
leather
jacket. I'm fucking tough as shit.
And you haven't had any alcohol this morning? They're all good?
No.
Okay, real tears.
No, I promise.
Wow, amazing experiences.
I think I'm trying to think. I think I was glad that I went last, so I could go through every gig I've had. But I was lucky enough to play some shows over in Europe, and one of them was just in this like small surf shop in Hamburg, and I think I was just having a down day. My now wife and we drove around in Europe in a van and played a bunch of shows, and I think that morning we backed our van into another van, and then I went off and played this show, and it was just the most amazing gig. Like I'm a huge fan of those kind of like backyard intimate gigs where everyone brings a picnic rug and their own food and drink, and it's just the greatest community kind of feel. And you don't have to pay like $15 for a beer or whatever. And everyone was sitting on the floor, but also more than that, and I'd never really played over there, it shows, I think, the power of like Spotify and the internet age we live in, that your music can travel to the other side of the world. And I suppose also the relaxed laws in Germany allowed this, but like there was like maybe like 30 or 40 people inside the shop, but there was like another 150, 200 people sitting on cars, just like with their drinks in the summer sun, and it was like the most magical, most magical gig I think I've ever played, and it was just this real like sense of community there that I loved. So that would be one. I also played a gig recently when my grandma came along and jumped on the dance floor for one of my songs, and that was kind of good. So yeah, it's hard to compare the two, but
Give us some of her moves.
she does this a lot.
That's very cute. I actually have something to add. I remember seeing you at Nanup Festival like when I was like 14 or something, and I was like so starstruck by you. I remember going up to you and being like, "Can you sign my record?" And I was like so excited, and I still have that signed record of yours. Yeah. So like even interactions like that have really shaped me and like really inspired me. So, and I think I still have a photo of us, and it's embarrassing. I don't know where it is.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, just a little side note.
Bringing communities together. And now you know him. It's all crumbled around.
Besties.
You're like, oh. Let's get really philosophical. No, let's not. Okay. Wow, I feel like I'm back as a high school teacher again. No. I'll do that at the end. Let's do this one first. What's your dream collab? All right. Who would you love to collaborate with? This is your chance to try and sell it, get some attention, see if you can get those people watching this film and being like, yeah, I'll collab with you. They're all lone wolves.
I mean, if it's like a dream,
yeah,
you'll never believe this, but I think I'd want to write with Taylor Swift. Or
Taylor,
even just,
if you're out there.
even just like being in a room with her and like watching how she writes, that's actually kind of creepy. But if I could just be like a fly on the wall watching her process, that would be amazing.
If you were in a room collaborating with Taylor Swift, would the song be like...
Yeah, actually, I don't think it would go well. I think I would actually be like... and just like actually pass out. Dream collab, like... I don't know.
Taylor Swift's a pretty good one.
I mean, but like more of like an attainable...
Yeah. Have a think on it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon mine's Frank Ocean. Yeah. Nice. I'd love to do, Frank stuff's so cool. So, yeah, Frank Ocean or, I don't know, there's a band called, who's like a huge influence for me called Mike Snow. And they're like this Swedish-American electronic pop. And the dude, Andrew White, is one of the singers. Like, I don't know, they just got great pop sensibility, but like unique as well. And yeah, I've always been a huge fan, so I'd love to do like something with them. So probably them or Frank, I reckon.
Nice.
Call him like I know him. Yeah, Frank.
Good old Frankie boy.
Can I say Rick Rubin?
You can say whoever you want.
That would be good. Love to work with Bruce Springsteen.
Actually, can I change mine? I think I got the same one. Oh my God.
All right, you can join in on the session.
Sorry. Yes, okay, I'll be there.
I'm looking forward to these next EPs that you're going to be releasing with these amazing collabs. There's going to be a Taylor Swift song about a weird gal who's passed out on her floor. That's what we're going to... All right, so before we put it over to our audience to ask all their burning questions, I just want to ask the philosophical one. What makes a good song? In your opinion, what makes a good song? Whether or not it's one of yours that you're like, yes, that's ready now, I can put that out, or if you just hear something you're like, oh, what a banger.
For me, it always has to have melody, something that is strong enough to stick in your head to a degree. So yeah, I think what makes a good song is, melody and harmonies I like. Like I always think of the Beatles and things, and like they have so many good tracks throughout their different little iterations of what they became. And I always remember like the melodies were strong. It's like Stevie Wonder. The melodies were like so strong. It's like for me, I always think of things as being. I love stuff that's melodic. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like a good melody with honest like lyrics, like something that like you can tell came from the heart, like something personal. That's what I always look for. Yeah, I think that's my only thing that I'll add.
Yeah, I think like feeling and heart, I think is a big thing for me. A lot of the time, like a voice might be imperfect and that has its own like charisma to it, and what you like the feeling behind that is the thing that I find like pulls me to the song.
Yeah, beautiful. See, it wasn't that hard, was it? It was
Actually fine. I think I
So
overthunked that.
we've got about 10-15 minutes left, so it would be great if anyone has questions for either Jared, Siobhan or Riley, or if you just want to put one to kind of all three of them, feel free. Yes.
I would say just like step away for a little bit and just like take a breather. Don't, because I like try and force myself to write and then I get mind spirals and then it's a whole thing. So that's, yeah, I think stepping away for a little bit. I also love bringing like unfinished ideas to different writers. So like co-writing has helped me get out of so many writer's blocks. So if you know any friends that you're like, oh, like we could write a song together, like do it. Finish the idea, even if you think it's bad. I think there's a really good analogy. I don't know who said it, but it's basically like songwriting is like a rusty tap. You kind of have to keep the tap running until the water's clear. So you're going to have all the gross shit come out first and then there'll be clarity. So I feel like you just kind of got to keep writing even if you're not loving it. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, I'd say like going for a walk, I think is a big thing. Like no one ever regrets going for a walk. It's always like such a good way to process your ideas. And yeah, if you have a dog, go down to the park. If you have some washing that needs being hung on the line, then go do that. But like I think just like doing something where you can step away from music for a bit and just like let your mind like process the ideas, because it does that even when you're doing something else. Like it works in weird ways like that.
Yeah, you kind of just. There's nothing wrong with coming back to ideas either. Like, I've come back to tracks after literally like a year, and then I've looked at it and I'm like, oh, that's actually not too bad. And then you kind of the ideas start to come back a little bit. So like sometimes it is just a bit of time as well, away from something, particularly if you spent so long on something and it's just not coming to you.
Yeah, great. Some good nugs there.
I've played all three of your music on Denmark FM. It's on high rotation over in Denmark.
Oh, thanks,
Thank
man.
you. That's so nice. Yes.
Our show, Westside Mixtape, got nominated as won the award of Best Australian Music Show last year in the Community Radio Awards. So you're actually all a big deal. And
Thanks, man.
because of that, you're welcome. But just hearing you guys talk, there's so much humility and almost like, I guess, questioning of the process and even, like, and as a musician I get it, like constantly questioning what we do as songwriters. And I just would like to hear what keeps you motivated, and whether it's like getting that feedback or having that awesome gig or just writing something that you're really happy with, like getting through those troughs and back to the peaks, or just maintaining it. What's something that motivates you to keep doing it?
I think for me, like, it's just inherent in me to do music. Like, I work outside of music as well, and music also kind of keeps me sane. So, like, for me, it's super healing to be able to do it, and it just makes me happy. So, like, it's the one thing that I, like, truly love, apart from my kids, of course. But, but like, I absolutely love playing music. And until I don't love it, that's probably when I'll stop. But that's probably the big thing, I think.
Yeah, I find it so therapeutic. And I think I'd just go crazy if I didn't. It helps me make sense of the world, everything that's going on around me. Also helps me like kind of capture moments in time of like things I'm going through. And yeah, I don't know, I just have this like constant desire to write and record, and you get those little bits of inspiration when you do release music or you play shows, and that kind of helps to kind of keep that fire burning.
Yeah, I'm the exact same. I think what keeps me motivated is like I kind of keep reminding myself like why I love music, and when I'm sort of in one of those like creative slumps, I'll just put on a record that I love, and it makes me want to write. It's probably, I don't know. Have you guys heard of Taylor Swift? Have I mentioned her? I don't know. Far out. But also performing live and having those interactions with the crowd is like, that's probably my favourite part about music, is getting the songs out there and performing them, and having people come up to me after and being like, oh gosh, like, that song is so important to me. Like it's helped me get through a really tough time, and like I was just bawling my eyes out in the crowd, and I'm like, I mean, I don't want you to cry, but like I kind of love that, when you that sounds awful. But like I love having that connection with people. I feel like it's so special, and like especially when it's people that I don't know, and I just get random DMs being like, this song is really helping me through this time, and I feel like that's kind of what keeps me going a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned that connection a few times, and
it's so important for me. I just love it.
Yeah, I find too, because like I feel that way towards certain artists and certain songs that have been such a big part of my life. So then when that feeling is returned by someone who's listened to your music, it's that to me is like the best part about it. It's like, how like, all right, this is in my bedroom. Like, how could like something that just started from nothing mean so much to someone? But then I think like, well, that's exactly how all these other songs probably started. And yeah,
So cool.
yeah, it is pretty cool.
yeah, that's awesome.
That's a great question.
Yeah. Any other questions from the audience? Yeah, back there. Oh, sorry. Go back and then forward. Yep.
Hello. So, question for everyone. I love doing this still. Sorry. How did you first break through getting into live music, like into pubs, into cities, into bands? Because that's like the biggest roadblock that you face, and like one that I'm facing currently. Ooh. Damn. All right.
For me, it was like open mic nights, and I did a lot of busking as well. But that tends to favour more like acoustic-y guitar-based setup. So it depends what you play. Yeah, I think just like connecting with other songwriters in your area to maybe put on a night or see where people are playing. I used to go through like the gig guides and look at all the other musicians' names and go listen to their music if they had it online and be like, all right, this person kind of sounds similar to me. All right, they've just played a headline show. Maybe I can ask them if I can like support them at one, like the next one or something like that. And just like trying to figure out little ways you can like sneak into the cracks and be like, and then once you've done a few of those, it just kind of becomes easier and easier. But it's that starting spot that I found really hard. Yeah.
Hey. I feel like, what you said. Oh, what was I going to say? Oh, for God's sake. No, I got it. I feel like starting my band was like and you're starting a band now as well, which is really exciting. Yes. So I feel like, I don't know if the band thing gives you more opportunities. Would you say that? I don't know, because I feel like I do a lot of solo gigs, but I feel like I didn't really come into my own until I found my band and started doing that thing. So, yeah, and also, the whole networking thing. Oh, that word, that cursed word, networking. Just mingling with as many different musicians, music lovers as possible, and just building that little connection. is really important. And yeah, like putting on different shows and like seeing who's playing, and I think going to gigs is the key thing, and sending emails to venues. Yeah, I think for me, like the band thing was what really solidified what I was doing, for sure.
Yeah, I think like much of what you guys said, really, like relationships are a big one, I think. Yeah, so kind of, yeah, going to shows, making friends with other artists, and yeah, offering to play, you know, those kind of support slots and things. But also like being prolific yourself in terms of writing and releasing. So I guess if you're going to play shows, it's good if you have something that is out there for people to actually listen to and things as well. So it's difficult to play shows when you haven't released stuff or you don't have something to necessarily put out into the world and to give people. So it's always good to have something there that people can actually kind of have a listen to, really, yeah. And then I think like when you get to the point of playing festivals and things, it is like I love playing with the band, and I feel like for my live performance, that's when I'm at my best, is when I've got my 4 band members with me, because the sound is just so much more dynamic. But it's also good to have that flexibility to do solo stuff as well, because when you're looking for support slots, sometimes they're not after bands either. Sometimes they're just after solo. So for me, I've got that flexibility because my stuff is somewhat electronic as well. I can trigger stuff and do it solo, but primarily I love playing with the band. It's just so much fun. But yeah, I think if you've got yourself a little product, it kind of helps as well.
All right, I think we had another question straight in front here.
I guess that's sort of answered a bit, but it's a bit convoluted. I don't know if I belong here yet. I saw this and thought, oh, that might be a nice outlet from being a mum at home for 20 years suddenly. I used to just sing around the piano and just make up little ditties, you know. So I've always loved music and I always liked writing my own songs, but I don't want to perform. So my question would be, if I got back into songwriting as an outlet for me, how would I find things to play my songs? And from a real songwriting workshop perspective, how does it work then for royalty? I don't know any of that. I've never thought about getting paid until it was mentioned today. But I'm sort of, I don't think I'm good enough to perform. But I think I could musically and lyrically come up with a nice melody and some funky lyrics that are catchy. And then does it just come down to networking and writing to people and saying, like, it feels a bit like Hollywood in the 90s, like, hey, this is my next thing. The next honey backup dancer or whatever. Really, is it that much work? I guess.
Well, you get a job in a bar that you have to dance on the counter, and then I'm not even supposed to be answering these. It's from a film for those who haven't seen Coyote Ugly. So anyway, over to the professionals.
I think well, firstly, there is absolutely nothing wrong with not wanting to perform. Like, I know heaps of artists and friends that have no interest in performing, and artists that just want to release music, and whether that be music where it has vocals or whether it's just instrumental stuff. Like, I've got a couple of instrumental tracks that I just made for fun because I just wanted to do it. And I think in terms of getting airplay and things, a lot of radio stations, particularly community radio is the best source of getting your music out there to various audiences. I think of yourself, Ben, in terms of local radio and stuff, there is nothing better. And with a lot of presenters and broadcasters, you can pretty much go straight up and approach them and email them. And they're more often than not pretty willing to play music. And a lot of the bigger community radio stations like RTR and FBI Radio, all of them have got their own little music submission areas on their websites where you can literally upload your music to it, and then they'll listen, and if they like it, they'll play it. But you can also go onto their programs and then research who their broadcasters are for particular programs, and you can actually email broadcasters directly and go that way. if that's the way you were going to do it, yeah. Like if you had your ideas and, I mean, if you've got ideas and if you're not at the point yet where it's recorded, you can always, work with other artists, pitch your ideas to other artists and things like that. If you're thinking that it's not necessarily your vocal that you want on there, you want someone else on there, you can still pitch your ideas to other artists. I mean, if that makes any sense at all. But yeah, a lot of broadcasters for community. I love community radio, like a lot more than I think like Triple J and those kind of things, because those bigger ones can be pretty hard to crack into. And community radio are such huge supporters of like local artists.
Yeah. Are you wanting to like record yourself, or is it you're more interested in just the songwriting side of it? Okay, cool. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. 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 It's a tricky field. Yeah, a lot of those on the money side of things, probably better talking to APRA AMCOS directly about. But I think in terms of like how I might approach something like that, if I was like writing songs and wanting someone else to perform them and starting out, I think I'd start like super locally. I think just try and find some people that to write with, and I think you'd have to be willing at the start to sacrifice, like either write a song from scratch with them, or if you've already got a finished song, they might only want to perform it if they connect to it. So there's got to be some element of them in the song. So you'd have to be open to, I suppose, them altering the song in a way and then giving up some of that percentage, but otherwise the song might not get used. And that's another thing to think about. Or you could hire people to sing the songs and record them. There are a lot of services out there. I know Fiverr's one. There's also another one that I can't quite remember the name of, but a mate of mine who plays saxophone with me at a lot of gigs, he is on there and people can hire him to play saxophone for their songs, and the more you kind of do, the more you get a reputation and people can hire you and you can charge more and all of that. So, and they have the same thing for like session drummers, they have the same thing for like producers or songwriters and all of that. So that could be another avenue. I'll try and get the name of that and let you know. But there is one. The other one is more music specific than Fiverr. I know Fiverr does a lot of like IKEA building and all of that sort of stuff as well. So, that would be. I don't know. There's a bunch of different ways you could tackle it, but maybe if you can piece together, and whether it's you're hiring your services out or you're building the services, you're hiring people so that you end up with a finished song, could be a way of doing it. So that you then can build a portfolio and show. Sia, are we talking? Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a good thing to segue into the workshops, the songwriting workshops, if you want to share any of those gems that you might have, because we are out of time at the moment for just this. No, I think it's a great question, and definitely like something that maybe not a lot of people have thought about, because most people are kind of thinking about that performance element. But yeah, I definitely think that there'd be some avenues for that. But we do have no time left for the panel, so thank you so much for your questions. Thank you so much to Jared Wall, Siobhan Cotchin and Riley Pearce. And they're all doing workshops this afternoon, so make sure you go and check out those workshops and get some of those skills in motion. We're going to have a lunch break now, I think, so enjoy.